All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Happy Tuesday, and hopefully we get a nice trend or at least heavy range day here today. Yesterday, right, relatively slow and choppy slash indecisive market. So I was happy to be green, right? We really focused on identifying a good setup, right? Avoiding that kind of fake out market, right? That it was showing us early in the day. And then we were able to find ourselves not a huge win by any means, but something to at least get the week going here nicely. What that means here, right, from a primary perspective, is I'm going to keep trying to compound right on that. The size of the win yesterday is kind of irrelevant, not necessarily from a P&L perspective, but just to understand, right, that it's the process that made us money yesterday, not any specific like life hack or chasing our P&L or trying to size our positions crazy that made us money, right? It was us controlling the variables that we can control that put us in a situation where it was easy to be profitable. So today is very much more of the same, right? Can we control our risk? Can we control our setup thesis? Can we control our daily bias? Can we control our entry timing? Can we control how we protect our winners? And if we do those things well, then we're going to make money. If we start to skip steps, we start to ignore those protocols, we start to jump around from idea to idea and look for confirmation bias, we're not going to trust our winners. We're going to over trust our losers. And we're not going to put ourselves in a situation where it's easy to be green. Unlike yesterday, we're going to need to apply a strong volume standard here to today's market, right? Yesterday, we didn't have to necessarily worry about that here so much because Friday was an option expiration day. And so we knew that the volume that was there on Friday was going to be a little bit artificial, right? To a certain extent, as a lot of the volume was simply just in people electing, right, their positions. And so it wasn't a strong indication of trending price action, right, or non-trending price action within that context. And so today we're going to be back to more of a historical, right, traditional system play. So hopefully, right, markets want to cooperate with us here this morning, and they do want to give us a strong level of enthusiasm to work off of. From my end, very impressed with everyone's trading here in the last week or so. It's been a fantastic, from my end, right, been fantastic seeing everyone's progress, improvement. The new traders, right, you guys are asking the right questions. You're participating in the right way. You're being engaged and involved. And so I very much appreciate you all for making my job easy here. Very, very grateful for that. So thank you very much. And for those traders, right, in your funded accounts and those who are trading live accounts, I've been thrilled, right, with the work that you're putting in. The hardest thing that we have to do as traders, right, is that like 20-day period for when you try to overcome your bad habits and try to create new positive, profitable ones. And I'm very proud of each and every one of you for putting in that work and taking that accountability to overcome some of those demons and learn how to trade in control. So today, let's keep compounding on those fantastic skills. Let's hope that the market gives us a nice opportunity. And then let's set ourselves up, right, to protect ourselves from maximum downside pain and take advantage of the enthusiasm that the market gives us here this morning. Obviously, the longer things coil, the bigger the pop. So we've got 2 days right here of essentially consolidation price action. So at one point here, or at some point, we are going to get a nice breakout or a good pop to take advantage of. And let's see if that's how things go here this morning. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out. Let's figure out what we want to do here today. And let's put ourselves in situations where it's easy to be green. So good morning, Suresh, Bugs, Ruben, Craig, Sabrine, Jeff, Emmanuel, Gary, Solstein, Emil, Dwayne, Brian, Jen, Dustin, Sarah, Steven, Michael, Nate, Adnan, Michelle, Juan, Daniel, Chad, John, PJ, Randall, Tanja, Igor, Ashley, Tasha, and Raim. Hope you guys are all having yourselves a strong start to the morning and are ready for what should hopefully be an fun trading day. So first things first, right? Check the economic calendar. We got some Fed speak here again today. Consumer confidence at 10. Fine. Nothing too crazy. Just double check the Forex Factory one here. Fine, right? So nothing too insane here. Both have to apply that shot clock. Good morning, Rod. Apply that shot clock right around that 10 a.m. So if we do get a trade in this initial 30-min session, right, or initial 30-min window, we'll look to close it right within a minute of that 10 a.m. data, and then obviously not look to open it within sort of one candle right before that zone. Anything before that, right, we should be all right. So let's see how things kind of come together here this AM and then go from there. So let's start off with ES. What's the count here? Good morning, Mike. What's the count on ES? How do we feel about its price action here? Higher high, higher low, pretty weak volume, right? So if we're going to start off the session, right, by saying we need to see volume step back up, should not be challenging for us to see more volume than what we saw there yesterday, right? That's like the biggest volume or the lowest volume, right, since August. So should be a relatively easy standard for us to overcome. But what would be the count here? Good morning, Kenneth. And let's start there. And in personal news, this is slightly sad, maybe depressing. The official end of summer. I am no longer drinking iced coffee. I am on hot coffee. So, if you hear a very depressed version of me here today, that is the reason. Good morning, Antonin. And yeah, Ruben, you're spot on correct here, man. So 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. So we've got weak trending price action, right? That's what it's telling us. And it's weak because there is no volume shelf supporting this narrative, which also makes sense, right? If we're going to say that this is quote unquote multiple days of consolidation here. But it does mean if we are going to trade, right, this morning, right, we need to see bigger vol than what we saw there yesterday. So that's fine. And what we're looking for here, right, to have that catalyst is more volume than yesterday's open, right? So it's not going to be exactly impressive. Need like 20,000 contracts traded. If we do get that on ES, we should be in good shape. And then we're targeting a move towards 5,800. So not too much changing there, right? And then above, right, we're going to keep kind of getting that follow through. To the downside, targeting a move towards 5,760. And then we have it kind of mapped out from there. Cool. Any questions? That makes sense? Hey, good morning, Cherry. An amazing morning to you as well. Yeah, makes sense, team? Perfect. All right, NQ. What's the count here? Similar narrative to what we have on ES, not so similar. What do we think? Yeah, very similar. Probably the one thing that looks a little bit different, right? The ES candle is probably just a little bit stronger, right? Looks more like a second most bullish candle versus NQ. Looks a bit more like a doji, but we're still very much confined within Thursday's price action, right? So we're looking for a breakout through that range for a good continuation narrative here. And we need to see bigger volume than what we saw yesterday, right? And then same thing, right, to the downside. And then we're looking, 22 is going to be approximately where our red line's going to be mapped out, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll be going 20,300, right, as our starting point, and then mapping this thing out towards 21K. 21 might be a challenging move to happen all in one go, but let's see if it shapes up. And then to the downside here, we're going to go 20,000 and then beyond. Hey, good morning, Bravo. Yeah, cool. Makes sense. So generally, right, ES maybe a little bit stronger here. And if we just think back to yesterday, right, that makes a little bit of sense as a lot of our tech names, right, that we were looking at as a possible leading indicator for index strength were showing us an indecisive narrative. So that doji, right, all things considered, makes a little bit of sense. And we'll see if we can get some oomph, right, to show up by a consistent narrative kind of coming into play here this morning. All right, Apple. Red candle, decreasing volume, gap up, right? Hard to see that volume bar, but significantly less volume, right? Which makes sense. So this is a 1 out of 3 here to the downside. And so we're going to look for a 230 breakout here to the upside. Or to the downside, right under 226. All right, Tesla, green candle, decreasing volume, pretty decent sized gap up. So again, 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. Slightly a contrary narrative to what we have on Apple. So again, right, we already talked about it a little bit, but we'd like to see these narratives sync up and become more consistent before we can trust some of these stories. We're at 254 here pre-market, which is a decent sized move. About a $4 gap up, right? So 2% gap up approximately. I'm going to say 254 breakout's fine. And then to the downside here, right, it's going to be like a Bollinger Band reversal. Hey, good morning, Robin. Well, welcome. Great to see you inside here. If you have any questions or anything along those lines, don't hesitate to reach out. Always do my best to try to answer them in the moment. All right, Microsoft. Red candle, decreasing volume, slight gap up. So again, a 1 out of 3 here. Weak bearish trending price action. So do have a narrative in either direction. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Amazon, right, before it ended up giving us that pop, right, where it's just like doji, doji, doji. Maybe it wants to get out of this range. So we need to see a breakout over 437 to the upside, right, or a breakdown under 430. And again, right, the missing ingredient that we've seen so far on all of our tickers this morning is volume. So we don't have an impressive volume standard anywhere. So let's see that volume show up to give us that confidence that we can make breakouts towards all-time highs on NQ or past all-time highs on ES. All right, Amazon, green candle, decreasing volume, gap down, right? So 1 out of 3 here again. Weak trending price action. And we're going to look for a pop above 195. Right, for continuation on volume, or right, a breakdown under yesterday's lows of approximately 190. Okay, AMD, inside bar, right, decreasing volume. So cool, totally makes sense. We're going to be looking for a I think still a 160 breakout. I can't really shake that feeling. But a little bit of a fake out lower there on Friday, right? Good day of consolidation there yesterday when the whole market wasn't moving. So if this thing wants to give us some oomph, right, and really break out above 160, it has a catalyst to try to fill that gap up towards like 175-ish. So fine, right? Consolidation makes sense, but not much is going to be changing here. So that 160 breakout or 152 breakdown needs to occur. All right, NVIDIA. So still flagging here potentially, right? So not much changing. We probably go above 120 here to the upside or under 113.50. And then that's a red candle, decreasing volume, small gap up. So again, 1 out of 3 here. And that's the story we have pretty much across the board, right? Weak trending price action or indecisive trending price action, which means that we are in periods of consolidation, right? So for us to really get a convincing breakout from that consolidation, We want to see that volume standard show up and be very enthusiastic. Without that volume, then we're going to be really struggling to trust, right, essentially any of these narratives that show up here today, because then a big volume bar at 10:15, right, could basically invalidate all of the early trending price action you see in the morning. So a strong volume shelf here this AM is going to push us toward the direction that we're craving. All right, Meta, red candle, decreasing outlier volume, gap up. So again, right, 1 for 3 here to the downside, non-trending price action. And we're looking for a 574 breakout. You guys remember when Meta was 90 bucks? That was insane. Should have put my entire life savings into that. All right, Netflix, green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. I'm going to call this a weak 2 out of 3 here to the upside, as the wick of the candle, right, is larger than the body of the candle. So we're going to visualize this as an arrow. That arrow is pointing down, and it's pointing down after Thursday's very indecisive bit of price action. Hey, good morning, Greg. So I'd like to still break out above that indecision for me to have conviction that we are going to get follow through here to the upside. So not too much is really changing here. So we're still looking for that 716 breakout, or we're looking to lose that 17 handle with some enthusiasm to really push us lower. All right, Google. Decent sized red candle, not very impressive volume, and then a small little gap up. So again, right, 1 for 3 here to the downside. Maybe the thing that's a little bit more, say, quote unquote, concerning here, right, is that Google gave us a fake out higher and then broke down, right, with a bearish engulfing candle post inside bar. Trying to see if I maybe have like any trend line resistance here. Not really. Kind of just looks like a trend line breakout potentially from a few days ago. So yeah, breakout over 166 or a breakdown under 161. Cool. And then VIX hanging out 15.81. It's kind of been a volatility suck recently, right? Where it's just like creeping down, creeping down, creeping down. Oh, didn't do CL. So red candle, increasing non-outlier volume, gap up, right? So 2 out of 3 here to the downside. And then we're going to be looking, I mean, like in theory, we could play a breakout above, say, 72.50, right? But we need to be on outlier volume bigger than what we saw there yesterday. Primarily should have a bias back down towards sort of that 70 handle. So 70.50, we already have it mapped out. So yeah, it looks like we could have a negative narrative here. I'm going to go NA to the upside. This is a bear case or bust. Thank you, Emil. And then, yeah, just go back to the VIX, right? If we're going to see kind of that grinding price action higher here, especially if volume shows up, we'd anticipate VIX to kind of creep down towards the low 15s. If we see a big sell day, we think this thing has a chance to really pop off, right, and get back up to like 16, 17, maybe even 18 here today. So if markets are going to be selling off, expect things to dump. If markets are pumping, expect... yeah, for VIX to dump, right? So let's see how things shape up here. Should be a relatively simple story for us to fall in love with. So let's make sure, right, that we do have a nice narrative here today. Any questions here, team? All right, perfect. So I'm just going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee here, spend a few minutes visualizing because it's a 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume, right? So if I'm going to be looking at my strategy document here, I've got trending price action with volume, right? So it's a strong trend here to the downside. So that means I'm looking for breakouts, right? Or dip buys inside yesterday's range, not trend reversals. So it'd be a trend reversal, right? To play a breakout trade to the upside. Whereas I'd rather look for trend continuation based off of yesterday's volume pattern. So with volume means that I have a trend. Without volume means I don't have a trend. So I always look to go not counter trend, but with the trend. All right, so I'm going to go make myself a cup of coffee here, guys. Be back in a couple minutes, and then we'll do a quick little rundown here before the session starts. Hey, good morning, Brian, Ben, and Jason. Hope you're all having yourselves a great morning. And yeah, we're looking forward to what should hopefully be an interesting trading day, right? Few things we need to see today, right? Volume needs to be the key element. So we don't have volume supporting any of our narratives here yet this morning. So we'd like to see that step up and show up before we do anything stupid, right? And before we take any disproportionate amounts of risk, right? So volume supporting our narrative is going to be very, very important. If we can't see more volume than what we saw at yesterday's open, which should not be a challenging standard, right? Because yesterday was one of the lowest volume bar days in a very, very long time, right? So 1 million, right? Contracts traded. So 1.01. So it's like the lowest since August the 19th, right? So that's about a month. If we can't get more volume than what we saw there yesterday, it's going to be hard for us to say that, hey, we're going to get a big day, right? So our volume indicator here is going to be the key thing that we have to look at today's open. That's going to be how we're judging relative strength. Good morning, KG. And for me, right, if I don't see that narrative, then it's going to be a very easy day for me to sit on hands and basically just assume that it's going to be choppy conditions. What we've seen in the last couple of days, right, is essentially just a low vol grind. So if I don't see an increasing volume standard relative to that, then the base assumption is that markets are going to behave like they always have until I get a proven otherwise. And that proven otherwise for us today, right, is that volume, is that oomph, is that extra enthusiasm. So if I don't get that confirmation of momentum, then I know that it's going to be a relatively easy day to basically just avoid obvious mistakes. So not every day is going to have to be a monster. Not every day is going to be a day where you hit home runs. But our objective here is to basically put ourselves in a situation where we have a consistent and repeatable process to get on base, right? If we get on base enough, we're going to hit a lot of home runs too. But if we try to optimize and try to swing as hard as we possibly can and try to get that mega win, we're just going to blow up chasing, right, a feeling versus executing our process. So our objective here always on a day-to-day basis is to turn green days into green weeks into green months, and green months into FU to your boss, right? So if we can put ourselves in those types of situations, then we're going to be in great shape, right, to make a lot of money, to find incredible progress, right, and to feel like we're actually accomplishing something. The paradox with trading is that you're never going to feel rich after the result of one trade. At least I've yet to ever feel that way. Now, I've had a few times where I've felt blown away with the amount of money I've made, but it's never like enough to make you retire, right, after one decision. But one bad decision can compound into two bad decisions. Two bad decisions can compound into 20 bad decisions. And then next thing you know, you're staring at drawdown that you can't recover from and forces you, right, to remain a slave to your boss or get stuck in the lifestyle that you're currently in. And so what we try to do here is the opposite of that, right? We try to focus on avoiding our worst case scenario with all of our energy and all of our enthusiasm. And then when we do, the P&L sort of just takes care of itself. So hopefully, right, today we can get ourselves a good opportunity. We can really focus on the variables we can control. And the market wants to cooperate to give us that follow through so that we can get paid out. But that means that when I'm focusing on my trading, I'm making sure I'm following all my rules. I'm being incredibly patient with my entry timing, and I'm focusing on my risk management. I'm trying to control the size of my next loss, not trying to size or force myself into my next win. So the more I focus on losing in control and losing small, easier it is for me to win big. And so that's priority number one here, team. Let's focus on those variables here first and foremost. And when we do, then we know we've got a killer edge where we can make a lot of money. If we don't, okay, we're probably going to struggle, right? Because we're going to be chasing a feeling, not chasing a process. So the more that we can double down on the techniques that make us capital and fund our accounts, easier it is for us to actually get the result that we're looking for here on a day-to-day basis. So this opening 3-min candle, right? 5-min candle, 10-min, 15-min candle, whatever one it is, right? That gives us that increasing volume standard is going to be very telling. That's going to be the one that we're going to be judging momentum off of. And so let's see, right, if we do get a level of enthusiasm here that indicates that we do have basically a different trading context, right, or a different trading background versus what we had there yesterday. So I'm looking forward to today's session. I'm excited to see what the market gives us, but I also understand that I have to be patient and I can't force something until I see that volume shelf supporting. Now, it shouldn't be that challenging for us to get, right? We need like 8.1 contracts, right? 8.1 thousand contracts, right, on NQ, and something like 20,000 contracts traded on ES. So neither one of those are particularly challenging standards for us to overcome. And so let's just wait it out and see if we do get that here in this opening candle. If we do, it's gonna be a green light. We'll be able to trade. We'll be able to be aggressive. We'll be able to anticipate more trending conditions, right, than what we've seen in the last couple days. So let's see if that is the narrative that shapes up here this morning. Any questions here, team? Anything that maybe isn't clear? Any tickers that you're looking at here this morning you'd like me to go over? I'd be happy to break down those things while we wait out for these 2 minutes. But yeah, happy to answer any questions in the meantime. Well, because it's green candle, gap up, right? Decreasing volume. So if it's a weak candle shape, which it wasn't on ES, right? That looks more like a second most bullish than a least bullish. Then it's always a 2 out of 3, right? So the two elements that were in our favor for trending price action here to the upside was the green candle color, right? And then this morning's gap up. So those are the two. So the three elements that we always look for is what's the color of the candle, right? Is it green or red? That's part one. Is the volume increasing or decreasing relative to the previous day? If it's increasing, that's tick 2. And then is it gapping up or gapping down? If the gap up is in the same color as the candle, right, the previous day's candle, that's tick 3. So we had 2 out of 3 elements telling us that same story. So it was an easy 2 out of 3 here for us to judge. All right, so ES already giving us more volume than yesterday. So the bottom wick of the candle, right, if we're going to visualize this, that arrow is pointing up. So does that look more like a most bullish, second most bullish, normal body bullish, neutral, or least? Well, for me, it probably looks more like a combination of the second most bullish / normal bullish versus anything else, right? So second most bullish is a strong candle, right? That looks more like second most versus least. So I would disagree with your assessment. Okay, NQ, not good enough volume there. Do you mean the pictures or do you mean my trading view chart, Michelle? Which one? So where do you have the pictures? I don't see any anything here. Please send me a DM with that. So not enough volume on NQ here so far this morning. We have enough on the 3-min on ES, but not enough on the 5. So a little bit of a mixed bag narrative here so far. Okay, does it not look like that second to third candle on that checklist? I'm confused, Michelle. I'm very confused. So, what does this candle on Monday look like, right? Is the bottom wick bigger than the top wick? Yes, right? Is the body of the candle bigger than the top wick? Yes. So regardless of what you're saying, that wouldn't change the count, right? It would still be a 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. Still a green candle, was still a gap up, right? So it wouldn't change anything. So I'm not quite sure why that's why you're stuck on that. Good morning, Howell. How you doing? And the picture that you're showing me is the same as this, right? It's the exact same looking chart, right? It's just got a blue background instead of a white one. Generally, guys, the way that I want to think about candles, are they strong or are they weak, is if I'm going to be visualizing the shape of the candle and I'm turning it into an arrow, right? So assume the body of the candle is an arrow. Is the arrow pointing up or is the arrow pointing down, right? So yesterday's candle here on, yesterday's candle here on ES, right? That arrow is pointing up, right? That bottom wick is larger than the top wick. It's about 3 times as big. Yeah, I'll take that ORB on the first time frame that it gives me a signal, right? So I'll trade that on the 3, the 5, the 10, or the 15. Right? All 3 of them will have their own unique characteristics, but I'll be willing to trade it on all 3 time frames. What I'm looking for here generally is what's the first time frame that gives me a narrative that confirms my daily plan, right? So which one's the first one? So if that happens on the 3-min, I'll trade that on the 3-min. If it happens on the 15, I'll trade that on the 15. Yeah, so far so slow. The only one where we have a decent volume standard is on NQ on the 3-min. I don't even think that 10-min went increasing. So again, right, we know that we're missing that volume standard. We don't have very impressive yet. So gonna be patient. So it's 3-min or bust here time frame wise for now. And it's pretty much only ES. So we need to see this candle close as increasing an outlier volume. And ideally, right, we're going to be visualizing this candle as an arrow. We want that arrow pointing down. So even though there's an arrow right now underneath this, that doesn't mean anything. All that tells me is that it's increasing volume. We want that candle now to close that looks more like 1, 2, or 3 versus 3 or 4 or 5, right? So ideally a close around 57.70 or lower. Sorry, 57.77. That's a fine close, but missing the outlier volume element, right? It's too noisy in my opinion, Nicholas. It's too noisy. And then it's a little bit of survivorship bias, to be honest with you, as well, right? So when I was working institutionally, we weren't allowed to trade the first 5 minutes. So it would take 5 minutes for the portfolio to optimize, send us new ideas, and tell us what we're doing for the day. So just when I worked there, I didn't trade that time frame either. So at this point, it's just a little bit of survivorship bias and just avoiding, yeah, kind of like noisy conditions. No, aggressive entry is when it makes a lower low first, and then you put your stop loss at the high or low of your entry candle. The pullback technique is when you place your stop loss at the high of your confirmation candle or the low of your confirmation candle. So right now, if we were to say buy in short on this setup, which is not an appropriate setup, this would be the pullback technique. If this candle had made a lower low, looked something like this, and we placed our stop loss there, right at that yellow line, that would then be the aggressive entry technique. So aggressive is when it makes a lower low prior to it pulling back inside your candle. The pullback technique is when it pulls back before it makes a lower low. Does that make sense, Rod? Okay, so far it looks like it was a good idea, right, to avoid this non-outlier setup. We've just dealt with drawdown here so far. So again, markets aren't showing me very much enthusiasm here yet. So I've got very limited reasons, right, to be aggressive until I see that momentum. What we've seen, right, from a daily candle perspective is indecisive, choppy PA. So we can't assume that we're going to see anything different than that until we see something different. And pretty much across the board from a volume perspective, we haven't seen anything very unique yet to indicate, right, that we should be looking for a different story, right, than what we've been sold here so far this week. Now, 10 a.m. could change that a little bit, right, where we get a bit of a move. But on pretty much all of our setups here so far, the only outlier volume bar has been the first one. So not exactly an impressive standard of oomph, right, for us to fall in love with. So I'm being very patient here. Very limited reasons to be aggressive. And even CL is stuck. So market's telling me it's waiting for something, right? So for now, no edge here yet. So I'm being very patient, very cautious. Painfully drinking my warm coffee instead of iced coffee. Maybe here on this 3-min on ES, we have a chance. This is the only time frame here right now where I have an increasing volume standard to justify taking a trade. But it would need to close under low of day on second biggest volume of the day. All right, so this is the only time frame where the opening candle was more than yesterday's open, right? On the 5-min, no, 26.4 versus 29.9. On the 10-min, right, 37.2 versus 48. So the 3-min's the only one where I have a green light. But it also means I need to be very strict, right, with what I'm willing to accept as my confirmation. It's got to close under 57.75, right? So 30 seconds to go. Volume looks fine. But we need this to close under that yellow line. If it doesn't, there's no interest. All right, so it did. So now we're going to be targeting a move towards 57.64. And as is, right, this would be the pullback entry technique, right, because it still hasn't made a lower low. If it breaks down and makes a lower low, right, then it would be something like this. So setting things up here, stop loss 57, I'll call 57.80. And I'm looking for an entry above 57.75.75. And again, we're looking for the correct reaction here. So as is, this could be a 2-contract play, as I'd be risking about $500 total. Let's see if we can find. So far, that's elevator up, not stairs up. So being patient here with my entry timing. We want to see bearish support step in like we saw at that 948 candle. And then for weak bulls to try to reclaim control and fail. So the way that I visualize that, right, is price action should move down faster instead of moving higher faster. Right now, it's moving higher faster than it is moving lower, right? So it's like taking step by step down, but then took the elevator higher, which tells me that there's more bullish absorption than bearish absorption. So again, I need to wait. We're also, it's 9:52, so we got 8 minutes here before 10 a.m. data. So that means that if I do take this trade, I will close this within 1 minute of 10 a.m. So I will have a relatively muted hold time on this potentially. And I won't enter this within 2 minutes, right, of 10. If I have 5 minutes to play this, then okay, I can have an expectation of making a bit of coin on this. If I have to hold this for 30 seconds before I close this, then I'm just building stress for no reason. So this might set up now as the aggressive entry technique. That would be ideal personally. And you go stop loss low of this 954 candle, right? This current one. And then you're looking for elevator down under low of day and then a tick by tick pullback right into that area. So let's see where this thing finds support, sells off, and then breaks down. Hasn't happened yet. So now stop loss would be 57.75.75. And an entry price of approximately 57.73. So I could buy 4 contracts here, right? And still be within my max loss number. But again, we need to see that flush under 57.73, right? Elevator through that area, and then a weak pullback into that zone. Otherwise, no interest. So this red line here is automatically coded up by my indicator, and it's just 2x whatever the range is. So if the opening range here was 7 points, my profit target's going to be 14 points away from the lows. So just 2x whatever the volatility is. Okay, now stop loss have to be 76.25. So that would be 3 contracts, not 4. This is getting tight, so it's 9.56. It'll be 9.57. Well, it's automatic, right? So if I know that the high and low here is 7 points, you could just draw it. So if I know that this is 7 points, then you can just draw a line 14 points, 2x away from the high or 2x away from the lows, right? The indicator does this for me automatically. So I'm going to wait this thing out, guys. Not enough time on this now. Obviously, doesn't mean it can't break down here, but I've got too much operational risk, right, to be able to trade this prior to a potential algo move in 3 minutes, right? So although this thing might want to break down and it might give me a little bit of a flush, I don't have enough expectation I'm going to get that move all the way to 64, right, in 3 minutes. So I'll wait this thing out, see if it can set back up on a different time frame potentially, or maybe a different ticker. And then we can go from there. Because if this thing doesn't move immediately, right, it's going to be really hard to make money on this. So it's not that my setup couldn't work here. It absolutely could. But the squeeze, like, you don't have enough time to get the move you're anticipating prior to the data. And then the reaction to the data is too much of a coin flip to want to have, 50 ticks or 50 cents worth of profit protecting, right? There's just not enough leeway there to be able to take on that kind of risk. So not worth it for now. And we'll wait. So taking on risk, right, to be up a point, and not worth it, right? Yeah, so when I'm trading futures, I can trade both to the upside and to the downside. Sounds good, D-Wayne. Have yourself a great day, man. So yeah, I can trade this in either direction. Just depends on what the daily trend is of what I'm willing to do. So you would have made $125, right? Going into data, that's not worth it to me. So if this thing sets up, we still have plenty of space here to the downside. Well, maybe I should have taken the gamble. Well, the reason I don't particularly go to the bear side recently is because since the 9th of September, it's been all to the upside, right? So markets have been trending higher. I've got limited reasons to go counter trend. Yeah, I personally don't see any lag on my end. Emmanuel, you might have a lag in the YouTube, which could be contributing to that. But I have no indication that my price action is behind. Well, this is what my counts are, right? So this is what my pre-market system is telling me. And you can just look at it. I mean, I'm not really sure how else to answer that, right? It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 9 out of 12 days here have been green. Keep making higher highs. You're at all-time highs in the market. So, you know, why would I go counter trend, right? I can look at the daily time frame. I can see that it's basically been a straight line higher. So limited reasons to want to go short, right? I don't want to swim upstream. I want to swim with the current. So we have a chance here to establish volume standards, right? They're going to be bigger than yesterday's open on this dump, right? So 3 min already bigger than the opening bar of the day here, which on the 3 min was already bigger than yesterday's open. So now, right, if we get that close on the 5 min, we get that on the 10 min, we should set ourselves up to have a little bit more flexibility here this morning. And then we can start targeting a move towards like 57.50. Pretty impressive selling. Consumer confidence. Michelle, you can find that in, or sorry, April, you can find that data here on Market Watch. So if you look up economic calendar, it's very important that you're aware of what these data pieces are, right? That's information that's free and universal to everyone. So please be aware of these things, guys. Very, very important. All right, so I am watching here ES to the downside. Stop loss 57.64.50. And we're just looking for the correct reaction here now. There's no reason to jump in immediately. So we want to see elevator down and then a tick by tick pullback into that 61. So that would be 3 contracts. And Q is well in play here. You'd be targeting a move towards 19.9. Okay, so watching here closely, team, ES. NQ as well. Won't lie, I think I prefer NQ. So stop loss short, right, would be 20.01875. So this would be a one contract play. And we're looking to see that elevator down here, right, through that 1990, and then a weak pullback into that zone. So it's not ready for us to jump in here yet. But it could be setting up. What I don't want to do here, Rod, just to keep going on with your comment a little bit, that's a huge selling candle, right? Huge selling volume. I'm not trying to catch a falling knife, right? And saying that the bottom is in until I have clear evidence that bulls have reclaimed control in some context. So for me, trying to say that they're going to be profit taking here is far too aggressive. I would much rather look for continuation of that selling pressure once it's been established. It's the higher probability play. So like if the 10 or the 15 min candle closes as a reversal, then sweet, right? That's a narrative you could fall in love with to suggest that, hey, bears are no longer winning. But in the short term, it's far too presumptuous to say that bulls are in control here yet. Right, little inside bar, period of consolidation, fine. 28.75 would have to be the stop loss at the moment. So this would be a one contract play, not more. And then you'd look to build up your position if you get confirmation. And like I said, if these 10 or 15 min candles start to tell me a different story, then that's the bullish narrative you could start to look towards. But short term, can't front run bullish price action until we have confirmation of that narrative. So ES, right, it would need to close above 72.75 for us to have that scenario. And Q, we still got some work to do. And Q could be setting up as that pullback trade as well. So we got two scenarios we can look at here, and then possibly a third if those longer term time frames continue to show that buying pressure. Is that understood? That makes sense to everyone? And then also important, right? We take a look at what this looks like on the daily. We do not have a trend day in either direction here yet, right? So don't overvalue what that candle has done here so far. We're very much still in compressed price action. So this thing would need to pull back into like the 60s, right? For me to be interested on the pullback entry here on the 10 min. And I no longer have the aggressive entry technique, right, available to me because the position sizing would need to be far too aggressive, right? I would have to have far too much risk on to be able to take that trade. Sorry, I just stepped away for a brief second there, Emil. What looks probably the most interesting to me here is the CL. $15-min time frame. Crude probably looks the most interesting. We're not getting reversals, right, on the longer time frames here. So CL is what looks interesting to me. I'm going to be focusing on this at the moment. Not to be the aggressive entry technique here now because we made lower lows. So 71.61 at the moment would be the stop loss. That could be 7 units as is. We would like to see this thing break down a little bit more. Go elevator down, then stairs up, right, into this confirmation candle's low. So approximately that 54, 55 area. So we want to see it now flush through with enthusiasm, move like, 2 or 3 cents at a time, and then pull back cent by cent. And then we have quite a bit of flexibility with this entry timing here, right? Because anywhere between this red line and green line is a good entry. Best entry is going to be on a retest, right, of that yellow line. But once you see that elevator and stairs down, as long as that elevator doesn't occur under that 71.42, you are still in business. But obviously, the further it separates away from that yellow line, the smaller your position sizing has to be. All right, so at that 55, I can buy 7 contracts. Lower than that, I'm buying 6, 5, 4, 3, you know, like each one, right, is each tick away, each worse entry means my position sizing has to be smaller and smaller. But still, so far, have not seen the correct reaction to justify taking on the risk, right? We haven't seen that elevator move down yet. We've seen kind of a tick by tick. So that's fine, right? On this 15-minute time frame, it's going to take a long time sometimes for your entry to come together. Maybe it wants to retest, see bulls fail, and then break down. Not the end of the world. Right? NQ and CL NQ and ES seem to be pushing down. So now your stop loss would have to be 65, 66, 67, 72. So again, this would justify much smaller position sizing. And maybe, right, puts our focus back towards ES and NQ. Okay, so now stop loss would have to be 71. And an entry price of 755 means that I'm buying 3 to 4 contracts here, right? No more. No, not nearly enough volume there. And what's the pre-market count, right? What does it say for bullish? Bullish NA. Why? Because it's trending price action here to the downside based on yesterday's candle. So we're not going to go counter trend. We're looking for trend continuation, not trend reversal. Yeah, we're looking for a downside narrative here. Nowhere is telling us that we have a bull case yet, right? Nowhere. So we're looking for elevator down, right, through low of day, and then a tick-by-tick retracement into 55, 56, something along those lines. So guys, I write out my plan on my screen, right, so that everyone knows what I'm doing. When it says bullish NA, I'm not going to take any bullish trades, right? Because I didn't plan them out pre-market. So I'm only willing to trade my plan. And if I don't get a move that follows my plan, I'm not going to gamble and think that, hey, I've got an edge here chasing a feeling. I trade my plan because this has been back tested and I know the data around these ideas. So if I'm going to be trading with a level of uncertainty, I go from being a trader to being a gambler. And once I start gambling, I'm no longer trading something that I have confidence, I have a positive expectation of being profitable with. So if you want to gamble, awesome, go for it, right? Go lose your money. But if you actually want to make money trading long term, we're not optimizing for the outcome on a singular day. We're optimizing our outcome after the course of 100 trades, 100 days, 100 weeks, right? 100 months. And so I know with my back-tested ideas that I have a positive expectation of being profitable trading those concepts. I don't have that same positive expectation trading just a random impulse that goes against my technique. And so if we're going to fall for every trap right, or every idea that we have or every thought that we have intraday, we're never going to make money long term. So if you want to be a successful trader, you need to understand that most ideas that you generate intraday are designed to actually cost you money. Right? You don't have to believe every thought you have. Is that understood? %, Dwayne, 100%. It's not only how you blow multiple accounts, it's how you blow your life savings. That's how you get addicted to chasing things that aren't there, right? Because every now and then when you gamble, you win big, right? But then you just sit at the slot machine and you give it all back the next day, the next week, the next trade. So instead of getting addicted to gambling and trading because it feels good, you want to get addicted to following your plan and your process and getting used to trusting yourself. Right? Trusting the work that you're putting in. Because there is no success without that. So, okay, ES and NQ starting to make lower lows. Again, this is why we don't try to catch a falling knife until we get confirmation of a reversal. So we have a chance here for continuation. So now looking for NQ here to the downside on this 3-minute time frame. Needs to close under this yellow line. Right? And then we're targeting a move towards our secondary level here of 19.9, which is approximately this white line. Okay, good enough close. So we'd like to ideally see the aggressive entry technique so I could get good sizing on this. Be about 30 points as is at that 96. Which is thin range. So I'm just watching how fast price action is moving here. This will be a 1 contract play. So it's starting to flush lower, right? Pretty aggressively. So I am watching short here for sure. Okay, wait this 5 seconds here for this candle to close. All right, guys, I am in. Average price 20,001. Stop loss at 20,026. And let's see if this thing can really start to break down here immediately. If not, right, it's not going to be very appealing. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Where's my pen? So far, so really good. So let's see if this thing has a little bit more oomph here, right? Start to really push down and flush. I ideally do not want to see this candle close under or above, sorry, 20,000. If it does, I'll just look to get out. But the sooner I can make lower lows, the better. And this, right, was the pullback entry technique, not the aggressive entry technique. It's got a flush here. Come on. Lower lows would be nice to see sooner rather than later. $84, $86. Come on. Okay, good stuff again there at 20,000. So now let's see if this thing flushes big time. We saw a big wall of sellers step in there. But those sellers are meaningless if they can't push it down significantly, right? That's 82. Make a lower low here. Now flush. Again, we saw rejection, but not as much as last time. So back at entry price. Come on. Come on. Get a little bit more of a fight than I'd like to see. Gotta die here. Last chance saloon. Keeps just finding support 10 points above, 10 points below. What was your entry price? $9.96. That's okay. $98's fine as well. Anything above that green line is a good entry. Anything below is one you shouldn't have taken. The concern I have is just how long it's taking, right? So we'd like to see it flush. I mean, ES is starting to push towards lows again. Otherwise, I'll take my $200 and just move on. But yeah, 20K is making me feel a little bit nervous. Won't lie. Oh, fuck. Whoops. So I'm still trusting it for now. Any close above 20,000 will be out. Nice work, Antonin. That's a great entry. All right, so now this thing is starting to go. Again, we want to see it sustain lower lows here. Come on. 10:36. We still have some time. That was a good elevator. Come on. That's 400. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Man, this is making me work today again. Every now and then, the market wants to keep me honest. It's one of those weeks. So I'll really start to flush. If we can make lower lows on increasing volume, then we can start to build up a position here and pyramid in. I'm in one contract here. Rule of thumb, right? Anything with a stop loss bigger than 20 points, I'm going to be one contract. Anything less than 15 points, I'll be two. Right? So my max loss number is approximately 500 bucks, right? Give or take $100. So 20 points, if I have two contracts, I'm risking 800. Can't do that. I can, I just don't want to. I was looking so good for a second there. Hating this close. So a few things are standing out to me in my head. If I'm going to judge, is this behaving how I'd expect it to behave if it was strong? I would say the answer is probably no. So I'm a little bit lacking trust here, I would say, right, of this setup. See if it can make lower lows here. If it can, then we have some potential to really flush. But it's not feeling the way that I think it should feel if we're going to get huge downside continuation. Now, we're looking better here now, so maybe I'm reverse jinxing it. But again, it's making me fight a little bit more than I'd like. There we go. All right, so now 800. Let's see if this thing can keep flushing. Just the size of those bounces makes me nervous, right? So we get those lower lows, then it bounces very quickly. That's making me a little bit nervous. Not a bad day here, right? 700 bucks per account. I won't complain about that. I'm going to go Alamo here on this candle. Would like to see it close under previous low of day. Otherwise, I'm out. What made you close, PJ? What made you close? Okay, there we go. So see if this thing can continue flushing. I don't want to see it pulling back too much here. Oh, you fucker. Okay, so now we have a chance to possibly pyramid in here. So current price, right? $201.25. We're on to see this thing now break down so I can push my stop loss to be like 69.75-ish, right? So again, we're looking for pyramid possible entry here to increase our sizing. It'd be a breakdown here. We need to see a breakdown under 19,953 with that elevator technique. And then we can place our stop loss to be 69.75. And average price would be like 86-ish. Now, it might not be giving me that. This motherfucker pulling back. So now, right, I can't do the pyramid. Too much of a pullback. Nice work, Greg. 400 bucks ain't bad, man. Ain't bad at all. This motherfucker. It's like that candle closed at the spot we wanted, but then that pullback's kind of a slap in the face here. God, this is deja vu to yesterday. I'm just watching where this thing closes for now, Karat. Again, we're still under 20,000. Fuck, this feels gross. Yeah, that's reasonable. Still in for now. I hate how this is reacting, though. Fuck, this is the same shit as yesterday. I don't know why. I feel like an idiot. Should have been more willing to protect my position. I'm out at 205, 2005. I'm annoyed by that. Same thing as yesterday. I got not protecting my profits nearly well enough. So took a $89 loss there when I was up like $700. That makes you feel so dumb. Well, now I might be setting up here for a reversal scenario. Like bullish engulfing candle, bullish engulfing on volume, holding nicely. So this could possibly be the scenario here now. Here's your possible reversal opportunity. But I feel really dumb about that trade. Okay, so watching this here to the upside now. This has to be the aggressive entry technique, looking targeting high a day. So stop loss 20.016.25. So this could be a 2-contract play here. So now I was looking for a tick-by-tick pullback. Okay, so watching closely here. All right, guys, I am in average price 20.03150. Two contracts. Still a little bit fucking annoyed about that first trade, to be honest. This one's looking fine, though. This one's looking very good, actually. Once you're up 2R, guys, you put your stop loss to your entry price. Right? So once you're up 2R, you push your stop loss to your entry price. Same it's always been. All right, now we're up 500. So let's see if this thing can give me some more follow through shooting right away. Right, so here I'm risking approximately 14 points, right? Call it 15 points. So once I'm up at 45, now my stop loss is protecting my entry price. Great entry, Mike. Great entry. Fuck, I'm still annoyed by that first trade. I'm not annoyed that they didn't give me the follow through. I'm annoyed at myself for not protecting my profits well enough. Same thing I did yesterday, and I was annoyed with myself for that yesterday. I'm annoyed with myself for that again today. So it's something I need to start thinking about a little bit more consciously, because it's starting to turn into a multi-day pattern, which I don't like. Okay, so now almost $1,000 on this, right? Great shape here, team. Great shape, right? Ah, but fuck me. Still bothered by that. Nice work, PJ. Yeah, no, it takes time, man. It takes time. No worries. This is kind of one of those, I want to say rare exceptions, but one of those opportunities where you get a bearish failure that turns into a bullish reversal. That doesn't happen too often. I'm still so annoyed, though. Yeah, stop loss protecting entry. I'm up nearly $1,000 here, so I don't really want to give that up, right? I really don't. It would be borderline unacceptable to do that. If this thing can't close above 2050, I'll get out. Stop loss to entry price. Stop loss to entry price. Yeah, I'm fighting a little bit of a demon here, right? Like I've tried to say this out loud pretty aggressively here, but I'm annoyed with myself for not protecting profit. So what I'm trying to manage here to a certain extent is to not overcorrect, right? So I don't want to panic close this and give back a lot of extra potential P&L. But I also want to make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid, right? And getting emotionally attached to this and then giving back P&L, right? So I'm trying to fight that demon here a little bit and control that a little bit. So the Alamo for me here needs to close above 2050, right? 20.050 for me to keep going. If it doesn't, I'll get out. Because look, this is now a $1,200 win. $1,200 win. I'm going to trust my system, Emmanuel, not your predictions, man. No offense. Right? I'm not trading my P&L. I'm trading my technique. So, no offense, man. That's what I'm already doing. So we need this thing to close as an increasing volume candle. Right? For me to be able to look to build up my position. So in the next 2 minutes, right, we need to go bigger volume than our entry candle. Remember, I'm not trading my P&L, I'm trading my system. So, like the number is an emotional inducing factor, but it shouldn't be the reason why I'm making decisions. Nice work, Sean. That's awesome. Congratulations, man. So you did on that first trade what I should have done. The second trade, much better. Still feel like an idiot, but feels better. Nice work, Michael. That's awesome, dude. Okay, it's great shape here, team. Almost 2K on the day here now. Sounds good to me. We'll talk to you tomorrow, man. Yeah, low vol fake out, right? Low vol fake out there. Bearish failure, right? To then bullish engulfing on volume. Well, right now it's still the same it's been. When I make a change, I'll let you know, PJ. What we're looking for is for this candle to go increasing volume so that we can possibly look to pyramid into a position. Nice work, Juan. So just increasing. We might be able to pull this off. We want our stop loss to be the low, right, of our entry candle of this one. And we're looking for elevator up. So my average price, right, 20.31. So I'm going to look to buy one more contract. That'll make my average price around 20.50. We want to see that elevator up here, stare down, pullback. Not quite ready for it yet. And then stop loss rate would be 69.50. So there's that elevator up. Now let's see stare by stare. Still no, still no, still no. See the elevator up here now. See if it finds support, then elevator up. You're looking for like elevator above 76.50, right? So you're looking for an elevator above this yellow line. And then it'd be essentially just playing the aggressive entry technique again, right? Where our average price would hopefully be back above. So watching carefully here now. So look for elevator here. And I'm going to have my stop loss at that 50 handle for now on my remainder, just in case. Right? That was the level we wanted to see hold. So I'm placing my stop loss to be that zone for now. Come on, show me a good time here. It's 11:03. Up like 1,600 bucks, 1,700. So we're in good shape here. Let's see, elevator up. Come on, baby. All right, so now looking for a weak pullback here. All right, awesome. Just added a third position. Just added a third position at 79. So average price is 47. Average price is 47. So stop loss is now 68. Average price is 47. So I'm protecting, right, approximately a 20-point win here regardless. And I've increased my max P&L potential here. So let's see if this thing can fly. It's almost 2,400, 2,500. So we're in great shape here. And let's see if we got some more left in us. 25, 24. It's bouncing fast now. Oh, I hate these days where I gotta work for a living, but today's a good day, team. Today is a good day. Still feel like a little bit of an idiot on that first trade, but this is making up for it. I mean, I think I traded fine. I just don't like 2 days in a row where I give back a decent win. So it just makes you feel a little bit stupid, for lack of a better term. It's like, oh man, like it could have been such a better week, right? I mean, I traded my plan for sure. But I need to be better at protecting my winners. This game is never easy, guys. Never easy. Hell of a day now, but man, it wasn't easy. Oh, coffee's cold. Ugh. I'll probably target the round number here. Again, I appreciate what you're saying there, PJ, but I'm going to trust my system not to, not someone else's, right? So I don't care if the fib is there. For lack of a better term, I just don't care. It's not my system, so now throwing in a different profit target that's based on something else is not really it. My target's my white line, right, which is high a day. But I'm debating closing it here at this 2100. So yeah, same thing I said to Emmanuel. I don't care, right? I trade my system. I don't trade your guys' system. So I ignore all the other outside noise. It makes no difference to me. It's just a line, right? That really means nothing. Yeah, well, we've got that set up already in place here, Rod, right? Stop loss is at 20.68, protecting a net 20-point win. So we're already protecting here nicely. And now, right, we're looking for risk-free upside. So where I have a thesis, right, where price action maybe is most likely to get stuck would be, again, at that psychological level, right? That's where we saw price action get stuck on the way down, right? It got stuck at that 20K, couldn't really separate away, couldn't separate above. At this point, I'm not going to take another trade here on the day and go short. I'm in a nice long win, you know, protecting a great green day. So I'm not going to be taking a third trade and potentially giving back my P&L. Okay, so decreasing volume on that candle, right? No reason to pyramid more. I appreciate that, Bruno. Thank you, sir. So what I was able to do here, right, is I was able to increase my position sizing without ever actually increasing my risk. That's the beauty of the pyramid. So now, right, can be watching this reaction closely towards this 2100 area. Same thing like we talked about when we had that breakout through that 2050. If we touch that area and we aren't able to break out and hold above, I'm going to look to get out. If we break out and hold above, that's going to be, for me, a good sign that we can get that continuation, that extra 50 points. So average price, here's 47, right, approximately. Stop loss is red line. Average price of my position is this line, right? So that's 2,300. Oh my gosh, feel a bit tired today. So now big breakout through 20K, pushing to 3K on the day. So we want to see this thing hold right above that 21. If it can't close above this within the next 8 minutes, I will look to get out. I just described my stop loss technique there, Karat, right? I'm waiting to see if this candle closes above 20,000. If it doesn't, I will look to get out. Otherwise, my stop loss technique here is still 20,068. Nice work, Mike. Incredible day, man. Incredible day. Congratulations. So if this thing closes and holds above 20,000, we will push up the stop loss even further. So right now, right, that's our next barrier we need to hold through. We got 7 minutes, so we need to be patient here. So that's 3,100. Let's even keep going. Not a bad day here, team. Oh. So again, that's why, good example here today of why I use the pyramid technique. Because if I'm wrong, it's easy to bounce back emotionally from a small loss, right? I can trade my system, I can follow my ideas, I can trust my technique. I don't have to get stuck on the P&L number. If I'm trading 10 contracts, right, and I get stopped out protecting entry on that first trade, I am fucking drained, right? Like I'm going to be so exhausted that I'm not going to be able to catch this move for when my next setup comes together. So not only do I have more upside trading this way, but I also preserve my mental capital a lot more aggressively. And that's a win-win. So forcing myself to obsess over losing small makes it easy to win big. And now I'm getting a 5-to-1, 6-to-1 return on my true amount of risk on this trade, right? It's hard to complain about that. Nice work, Adnan. Congratulations, man. Well done. Way to fight through, dude. So we got 5 minutes here on this candle. Again, it was kind of elevator up and then little weak pullback back into the zone, but needs to hold. That was a 5-point flush. Don't like that. Everyone feeling good? Yeah, Mike, you should be thrilled, man. What a day. DTR guest is making sense? Nice, Chad. Love that. Yeah, Dwayne, I'm feeling much better now, too. Nice work, Jeff. Hell of a day, man. Congratulations. Nice work, Karat. Nice work, Robin. That's all right, Juan. We still have some more upside here. We'll see how this thing behaves. Might have a chance to add a 4th contract. We'll see. Well, welcome, guys. Great to have you. Feel free to ask questions. Nice work, Suresh. You saw the worst and the best here today, right? You saw how grumpy I can get when I feel like I break a rule. And, you know, how I treat myself when that happens. Probably the negative self-talk. But you also saw how important it is to trust your system and follow your technique above everything else. So, appreciate you guys all watching. I promise, won't always be pretty, but it'll always be transparent. Let's go, Greg. Congratulations, man. I would say your entry is too late here now, Dimas, right? I would say far too late, right? We're 70 points away from what our initial entry was. I would say that no longer do you have the appropriate risk reward, right? Nice work, Ben. Congratulations. So this was our setup trigger, right? And confirmation. You're now 30 minutes away from that price. Nice work, Michelle. Nice work, Rain. Congratulations. Dude, the delay is 3 seconds, right? If there's a delay further than that, then you have one that is on your end based on your internet connection or something along those lines. There's nothing else I can do that's shorter than that. So when you go into your YouTube, right, make sure that live button is clicked and there's a red dot behind it. Otherwise, you will not be in real time. Let's go, Ruben. Congratulations, man. Hell of a day. Very kind of you to say that, David. Appreciate that, man. Nice. Fuck, man. Guys all making more than me. Gonna see me get grumpy again here. Well done, team. Really, really well done. I swear I'm not jealous. Myself, I copy across 5 accounts in prop firms, and then I have a family fund that I trade for my dad and sisters. So technically it's 6 accounts, but the family fund I have is, well, way more than my prop firm. All right, so we did hold above. So now stop loss is going to be at 83. Right, so stop loss now 83. I can't type, whoops. And then this thing can break out aggressively over high of day. We can look to maybe pyramid into another entry. Not yet here, Chad. We want to see a breakout above this previous high. So above this 2116. And then we want to see that elevator up, stairs down. Still have my apprehensions around this 2100 area. As we've seen, psychological levels or these round numbers act like magnets here today. So I want to make sure that I have separation away from that zone before I do anything aggressive. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, no. I don't have the, honestly, dealing with my sisters and with how they ask for money, I don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with more than that right now. Maybe, guys, once I make the move down to the States and I'm all situated there, maybe look to open up a little fund. That would be pretty fun. But that's more of like a 10-year goal than a 10-month goal. Have a great day, Karat. Congratulations. Well done for managing your win on that first one. Yeah, this is going to be close to a 20K day here, team. Cannot complain about that. Whew. Yeah, I have in my mind where I want to go. For me, it's going to be Florida, I think. Oh, is that where you live, Raim? Florida's better, I think. I crave being by the water, to be honest with you, Juan. So yeah, Miami would probably be the spot. So now we're looking for a high vol breakout above, right? That 2116. Again, close. And we want to see elevator up, then stairs down, and then we can push our stop loss to be the low of this candle. Oh, I mean, Jupiter would be one of those spots too, right? I love golfing, and that is a golf mecca. Oh, I mean, I've been many times, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the reason here. Rod, you've nailed it. I can't deal with these Canadian taxes anymore. Nah, I don't have a family here, guys. I'm single and I got a dog, so I need a little bit of enthusiasm here still. But every time I've been in Florida, I've just felt like I'm surrounded by my people. I don't speak French. It is a big contention with the girls I try to date. All right, so now we're looking for stairs down, right? To build up another position here. All right, guys, so I just bought in another one at 121. And stop loss is now 98. Trying to do some math here, sorry. So average price is 71 now. Average price is 71. Stop loss at 98. 94.75, I should say, stop loss. Well, truth be told, Antonin, I moved here during the pandemic. I was living in Toronto at the time, and I was just partying too much. I was just drinking too much with my buddies, having too much of a good time, and I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't have any distractions, where I could focus on my trading. So I moved here. Montreal. It's starting to feel less like a straight line here all of a sudden. Just gave back, 200 bucks. Let's see if it got the legs. But I think I've said this in the past, Antonin, to go back to your question a little bit. I just decided to go full monk mode. Right? So the life I live here is really not that exciting. I don't party very hard. I don't drink very much. Just very focused on growing the business, growing my trading, and really being as selfish as I can with my personal development. So once I realized how terrible the lockdowns were, I kind of figured I would have regretted not going all in on myself when I had no excuses to do something otherwise. And so that's kind of what this looks like for me. And it kind of coincided a little bit. So I got offered a job 2 or 3 months before the pandemic. I got offered a job in Singapore. And I was so close to taking it. It would have been for another family office, keep trading, doing all that stuff. But decided to, well, the offer got pulled once the first cases of the COVID pandemic started showing up in Singapore. They pulled the offer. And so I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll go all in on my trading. And I'm very happy I did. Starting to dislike this increasing or decreasing volume consistently. It's nearly 100 points since my initial entry. Hell of a day, guys. Hell of a day. Questions. Do we have another, 20 odd points here to get the high a day? Let's see. It's almost 5K on the day, so can't really complain. Per account, let's see if it's got the juice. I mean, I'm just following my system, PJ. Just following my system, right? That's 5K here, team. That's 5. Not bad. 25K day. So, like, I'm very stubborn at ignoring everything else, right? So, like that fib target you mentioned, someone else mentioned a different level. I don't care about those things because they're not a part of my system, right? So instead of looking for confirmation bias to do this or do that, and to use confirmation bias to basically either enhance my greed or satisfy my fear, I'd rather just trust my technique because I know that's what works. That's what I have evidence that works. And so I just tune out everything else. And it's not personal. I don't mean like to insult anybody. This is my own. This is my own. This is a pattern that I have. You know, you read a bunch, you learn, you study the market, you watch how things behave. And you just build it up over time. So how I trade now is different than how I traded 8 months ago. And how I traded 16 months ago is different than how I traded 8 months ago. So it's just a constant evolution, right? And this pyramid technique is relatively new. We introduced it like in August. And since I have, it has made tremendous progress to my P&L and everyone else's. So it's been awesome. It has been awesome. Hey, we're glad to have you, PJ. Glad to have you, man. Yeah, for sure. We'll cross that bridge when I get to it, Rod. I do have this dream in my head of, say, October through May in Florida. The rest of the time, you know, visiting my dad and stuff like that, being a good son. Maybe spending some time in the mountains in the summer. But for now, not letting myself dream about that too much. Still gotta get this visa approved, so hopefully pretty soon. So Alamo for me here now will be if this 10-minute candle can't close above my most recent ad price, which was 21.21. If it can't, I'll get out and I'll take my day and move on. Hell of a day. So Alamo's that yellow line. Needs to hold above for me to be confident of continuation. It's a 4K day, right? So again, not too bad. But again, I want to be trying to close in as my P&L is increasing, not as it's pulling back. No. Not yet here, PJ. Not yet. Stop loss is still this red line. So it's the low of my previous candle. I just want to see this thing close above, right, my previous entry price. Because it's a little bit late in the morning here now. Not to say that it can't keep going, but that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, almost an hour, right, of it just going in a straight line higher. It might not want to keep doing that. Whew. $4,800. It's a great day. And this isn't going to be outlier volume, so I can't look to pyramid into this for a fifth contract. I got to keep it as is, unfortunately. So it might go increasing, but it's not going to go outlier. And then once this candle closes, assuming it closes above that 21.21, my stop loss will be the low of whatever this candle is. So approximately 21.06. So stop loss now, 21.06. And let's see if it can hit that final target. One sec here, team. Be right back. All right, sorry about that. So let's see if she's got the juice here. And final target's going to be 55. So 25 points away. God, I love Egg Q. Love the debriefs team. Love that. Well done. Greg, 4,100, incredible. Joe, almost 2,100. Love it, team. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so watching quick, that was quite the pop. Hey, my pleasure, Greg. Appreciate you being a good student, man. So 5,700, 5,800. Woo! Oh. All right, so we're 13 points away. So finger on the trigger, 10 points away. Come on. So 6,500. Oh man, I was so pissed off. Boom! There we go, team. Let's go. Ha! Oh, best job in the world. So, 71-18. What a day. Woo! Oh, that feels so good. Any questions here, guys? Any questions? Wow. Hey. All I did here today was trust my plan, right? All I did here today was trust my plan and ignore everything else. So you trusted your plan too, Mike. You had a great day, right? About 35K, yeah. Do the math here in a sec, but yeah, not a bad day. Not the biggest day I've had, but I'll take that. I should have held on. Woo! All right, it's time to fill in the journal here while it's still fresh. Wow. All right. So brings me up now to 102 wins, 60 losses on the year, and that was an awesome, awesome, awesome result, right? We were waiting for that type of breakout here for a while. Maybe should have held on for a little bit longer, but my plan was to close at that 55, so I'm not going to be too bitter about that. Whew. Everyone feeling good? Hell yeah, Greg. Hell yeah. Most profitable sick day in a while, man. Congratulations. Whew. So, if you're a DTR guest, right, and you want to trade with us like this full time, make sure you reach out to your advisor. They'll get you set up and started here right away. But you saw the good, the bad, the ugly, and just how important it is, right, to follow our system above everything else. We don't gamble here. We follow our technique. We follow our results. And we trust our technique. Yeah, I mean, on that second trade, I should have been probably a little bit more protective of my trade. Right, especially after. So the difference, I would say, right, is after my initial entry here, we got that increasing volume, right? And then we saw more and more increasing volume candles post those secondary entries. So that's good confirmation of relative strength. After my initial breakdown, I didn't see too much more continuation, right? I didn't see that volume showing up, and maybe that's something I need to think about a little bit more. But for me, the most important thing, Emmanuel, right, is trust my system above everything else. It's not that I'm like calling you out or saying that your technique doesn't work. It absolutely can. Every strategy has its pros and cons. Every strategy can work. But I follow mine. And I don't allow outside noise to allow me to change my strategy mid-trade because I don't have that data to suggest I should. So for me, it's all about really trusting my plan, following my plan, and only trading that. Now, I should have, in hindsight, right, would have been an extra maybe 10K at this point. It'd been a 10K total, right? But hell of a day here. I won't complain about that. You know, sometimes you leave money on the table, not the end of the world. And I'm thrilled, right? Thrilled with the bounce back here today. So green every day here so far this week. Won't complain about that. And if we keep, you know, we get one of these a week, right? That's life-changing money. So, okay, should have held on for an extra 45 points. But it is what it is. Hell of a day, guys. Hell of a day. I freaking love trading those red to green reversals. They are monsters. So, any questions here, team? Any questions? And well done, Rod, man. 10K is a great day. Add it to what's been a monster month for you, man. It's the 20 period moving average. So it's just whatever the default is. Don't worry about it, Rod. I just missed out an extra 10K too. Yeah, Robin, that's exactly why this pyramid is so powerful, right? Is okay, when I lose small, or when I lose, I'm going to lose really small. When I get follow through, I can look to add to my winners without ever increasing my risk and basically give myself unlimited upside. So on this trade, right, maybe I should have had a slightly more aggressive profit target. But for me, right, it's all about maxing out my P&L potential by forcing myself to lose small. So that's why we go 1 or 2 contracts. And then, you know, when you get that follow through and you get 5, 6, we've built up to 12 contracts here before on a trade. But once you start to get that type of follow through and you're not increasing your risk, your P&L potential soars through the roof. So just understanding that forcing yourself to lose small makes it easy to win big, because this win here today, right, will cover 15 straight days of losses. And no matter how shitty of a trader you are, right, or how bad your technique is, pretty much no one has 15 straight losers in a row. So when we focus on that risk management element first, make that our core obsession, we can get bailed out of so many mistakes. And so that's really what I focus on trying to teach here as much as possible. And I'm glad you're able to see, you know, a version of its potential. This was a big day, but it wasn't my biggest even this month. You know, I had a day that was 3 times as big as this. So this is good, but it wasn't great, for lack of a better term. And it should have been a slightly better day. So for me, everything is risk management first, the most important element. And when we take care of that, our wins take care of everything else, right? Our P&L kind of takes care of itself. And yeah, wasn't always pretty here today, right? Like I said, that negative self-talk after feeling like I made that mistake, that happens, that's a part of it. But it's just understanding that no matter how the market makes us feel, the only constant that we should obsess over is, am I following my system? Am I following my technique? And do I have ammo left behind so that I can make sure I do that with conviction? And today we did that, right? We fought through some blisters. We fought through some uncomfortable feelings. But we turned it into a great day. So proud of you all for sticking with me, putting up with my nonsense, my grumpiness. But I promise you it's worth it. So final call for questions here, team. Final call. Yeah, you too, Emmanuel. Have a great day, man. Yeah, so first, so this was my setup trigger here, right? This low vol fake out, so make a lower low on decreasing volume, right? Relative, couple failed breakouts, then a failed move here, recover back above 20,000, and then bullish engulfing candle, bullish engulfing on volume, and then use the aggressive entry technique. So average entry price was 2031, and stop loss here was this 2016 area. So initial entry was here, and then looked to buy in more contracts here at this 11 o'clock time frame. And then, yeah, had 4 total positions to be able to run this thing up. So average price ended up getting up towards 20,071 and was always protecting like a net 20-point win at worst. So initial entry here, 20,031, and then look to build up some more. Let me find you my actual entries. Sounds good, Robin. Well, we'll see you in the stream again tomorrow. But best way that you're going to learn the system, right, is trade with us, practice, paper trade for a little bit, then do your evaluation and get the leverage so you can have these types of days as well. I'm all done here for the day. Very hard for me to think that I'm going to make more money now. And generally I trade first 90 minutes. So outside of this time frame, although this thing might keep running, I would not look to go short at this point. Once bulls have recovered in a pretty violent move, it's hard to say that bears are in control in any context, right? So you got in a pretty good breakout here above that Thursday resistance. Really good follow through. I would not be looking to set up short here at any point today. If you missed it, no worries, right? There'll always be another trade. We'll have more opportunities tomorrow and on Thursday and on Friday. But yeah, no reason for me to do any more than I did today. Remember, green days turn into green weeks turn into green months turn into green years. We're trying to compound days, not trades. Because if we just follow our plan, we make a lot of money. When we try to trade for a P&L, we tend to go after it. Stream starts every day about 9 Eastern. We do about 30 minutes of prep in the morning, and then we trade from 9:30 to 11. And I tend to not take any new trades after 11. I don't trade that. Not part of my edge. My edge is trading morning momentum. And so I pretty much ignore everything else. %, Jeff. Just bear with me, man. I'll jump in our call here in a second. So yeah, guys, final call for questions. Final call for questions. I'm going to jump in on some member one-on-ones here. So DMAS, right? This is my edge. This is my strategy. I ignore everything else besides it. Right? So I want to see breakout aftermarket open. That's how I traded institutionally. So I've got survivorship bias, right? I'm basically just looking to build off of the techniques that I've been using for a decade. And when I do, I make money. When I don't, or when I try to have too many edges, my knife ends up getting dull, right? So for me, I'd rather be the specialist than the generalist. It's a hell of a day, team. Hell of a day. So, same deal like always, everybody. If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves all a fantastic rest of the day. And we'll be back at it tomorrow for our next pre-market prep starting at 9 o'clock. So, talk to you guys all then, and we'll chat soon. Peace.